Welcome to the video session on pronouns. Pronouns as a type or a part of speech, it comes under closed class category, and we just let us have a look at parts of speech, how it is getting classified mainly into two, that is open class or content words and closed class. Here under open class we have nouns, verbs, adjectives and adverbs. After that elaborate discussion, now we are going to talk about pronouns. The first type may be under closed class category. Let us go to the file. Yes, closed class or structure words. Under that, pronouns. We have pronouns here. Pronoun. Actually, pronouns are a category of words that are used to replace the nouns in a sentence. This is the main function. Pronouns are most often they are used to replace the nouns in a sentence. And other further detail we get here, like they have similar function in a sentence, like a sentence as the nouns they replace have. They have the similar function in a sentence as the nouns they replace have. That let it be there. But let us see how a pronoun functions. For that, first let me talk something about my friend. Okay. Yes. Anu is my friend. Anu is from Wayanad. Anu is a postgraduate in English. Anu has a son. So I'm talking about my friend. And just note down in our usual daily life conversation, on from the second sentence onwards, if I'm talking about a person, first time I mention the name Anu, my friend. But the next sentences, we don't usually go for repeating the name. Instead, we replace the same with another kind, a category. Actually, exactly what I mentioned here to be pronoun. That is, the pronouns are a category of words that are used to replace the nouns in a sentence. Here I'm talking about my friend Anu. And next sentence onwards, if let's say if she has to be mentioned, if let's say the next following sentences talk about the same person, I can replace it accordingly with her gender number. So only single person, I'm talking about a girl, so that I can mention her in the coming sentences, refer to her in the coming sentences with the pronoun called she. If the friend referred is a man, then you can replace it with a he. If number of persons are there, just think about, you are mentioning thus in the sentence 4 or 5 names, nouns, that is name, noun. And in the coming sentences, you are repeating the same. Every time you want to refer them, you cannot repeat, you cannot, actually, we do not use it. You do that. Instead, we can say they, us, we. So these are the way, this is the way in which you can replace the nouns with the category called pronouns in a sentence. So here, let me just demonstrate with my sentence, with my example. This is Anu is my friend. She is from Wayanad. She is a postgraduate in English. And she has a son. So this is the way you can. And again, at times, if you want, you can go back to, if it is a narration, if it is a story, then you can go back to to the mentioning of this name again. Okay, fine. But still, in normal conversation, to make this, to avoid the awkwardness in communication, we try to replace the names, or we try to avoid the repetition of the nouns which we use with the pronouns, and that is the function here. Then that's why you can see here they have similar functions in a sentence as the nouns they replace have. See, in the sentence, if I'm talking about a person, noun refers to a person, maybe most often. Here, most often we try to replace the name of a person, or at maximum of an object. So definitely in a sentence, if you're referring, most often it sometimes it may be the subject of the sentence, sometimes the person may be the object of the sentence, whatever it may be. The noun, the pronouns they replace have similar function. So if Anu is the subject of the sentence in the first part, the next sentence, if I replace the name with the she, that particular pronoun does the function of the subject itself in the coming sentences as well. That's all. And so that's why the pronoun must agree with the noun in person in gender and number. That's what I mentioned. So if I refer a girl or a woman, and only one woman, then I can use the pronoun she without any confusion. If that is a, if I'm talking about a man and only one man, that is again you can replace the particular person's name with a he. If there are number of people, then you can use they or we or us. Accordingly, we will come to that. So how we can choose that. And so that's again an example can you can see here. If the noun is third person singular feminine gender, that's a third person, first person, second person, third person, that we will talk now. But more than that, we know how third person singular feminine gender works. Here, pronoun must also be in third person singular feminine gender, so that we replace a woman's name with a she. Third person singular, one person, feminine. So she. We choose she as the proper apt pronoun. Okay. Then, now, yeah, then there is a correct sentence, is an example given here. Just look at that. And now, let me go to the categories, types of pronouns. The first, and again we have to see some first one for personal pronouns, second one possessive pronouns, third one reflexive, fourth emphatic, fifth one demonstrative, sixth one interrogative, seventh one indefinite, and eighth one relative, ninth one distributive, and the last one reciprocal. So this much category. We have 10 different types of pronouns we have to see in detail. First type, it's personal pronouns. Let us see, it's a very important category. Okay. Yes, are pronouns that refer to specific persons or objects. Specific persons or objects, personal pronouns. So next, when we come to see the next types, we will understand. Then we may have the question how. So this is about replacing noun. Then why it can be specific person or objects always. We will come to that. So we have different other names and different ways of replacing here. But with the personal pronouns, we have mainly three categories, three types. We don't have to see that we some very um, extreme level of categorization, but just with a reasonable reasoning, we can understand this. So first one, first personal pronoun. See, for example, I would like to mention something about myself. Here, we never go for saying like we never go and say if my name is Anu. Anu is a teacher. Anu is teaching English. Now, instead of that, I may use I. I. So, this is the way first person, the person referring to one's own, that the person wants to talk about, or it's in a self introduction and all. We never repeat our names. So I. If that is more than one person, it's we can use we. But in both cases, this is about the direction is towards the same person, first person, the person who is talking himself or herself or themselves. That is the way they refer. So first person pointing out to the self. And what about the second person pronouns? Then you can understand why it is first and the next one it is second person. So I and we, both, the reference is directed towards the self. But in second, so in singular, I is used for singular and we for plural, we know. And second person pronoun, you as singular and you as plural. But commonly, you as the term we refer only as we consider that to be plural only. Never only if I want to point out to one person and say you are a good girl, you are good students, even if it is one person, even if it is more than one person, that are when it comes there, we know it is meant to be taken as a plural subject. But in any case, second personal pronoun as an idea that comes here with the you. That is, one person is talking to another person. Two persons are involved. Okay, so that's the way you can reason regarding first personal pronoun and second personal pronoun difference. In the first part, it is just one direction. The second one, it is two directions. The talk is between two points. And what about the third person pronoun in that case? He, she, it. So A and B talking about another C. That is he, she, it. Even more distant, but three uh, types, 3 points are involved. Between two, the talk happens, but it is about the direction. It is directed towards, a reference is towards a third person. That's how it comes to be he, she, it. So that all those three refer to singular type. It for an object, he for a man, and she for a woman, or he for a man or boy and she for a woman or a girl. It for any object. And what about they? They stand in common for plural. That's also third person. This is the way. And the different varieties of that in the according to the situation we can me. Sometimes we say it is for me, it is for us. So that is the way us can may replace many people. Me can replace a particular person, a person who is talking, him, her. So according to the context in which you use the sentence construction, you can choose this. But every time you please remember first person, it involves the first direction or one directional. Second person, it's between two and it's a pointing out or the direction. It's the talk, it's between two persons. Third person, obviously three, the third reference goes to a third person. Okay, so then second type, it's possessive pronoun. As the term refers here, possession, we know it stands for ownership. Pronouns such as mine, ours, yours, his, hers, theirs are used to establish. These are very common, and we know how the form changes according to the use, or for the purpose of the use to show ownership. See here, example here it's given like that is Sita's house. Ours is in the next street. If you take this example, that is Sita's house. So it refers to a particular noun. So our house, the house is getting a reference, but within with just with the this pronoun you can replace the entire phrase here. Our house. We don't have to say our house is in the next street, but you get the idea. Possession, and the form itself refers to possession. Ours, mine, ours, yours, his, hers. All these terms can very directly make us aware that it is about some ownership. So that is Sita's house. If you do not replace that particular that this particular subject, if you do not use ours, that pronoun as a subject here, you have to repeat ours house is in the next street, but you already know you're talking about house. So obviously a noun getting replaced, or the idea of a noun or the concept that is getting replaced. And third one, it is reflexive pronoun. It's very important to see these two together, reflexive and emphatic. Let us see. Reflective pronoun. Yeah, pronouns referring to the subject of the sentence and are objects of the verbs in the sentence. If you look at the definition, um, it is not very comfortable, but let us see the example and then go back to the example, definition in this case. That will be better. Let me read this example. The dog hurt itself. You're talking about reflexive pronoun. Just keep in mind the idea of reflection. What happens when you look at a mirror? That is obviously a reflection. You are having a reflection. You're getting a reflection there. That is one part. But that is just as an idea. But here we see, let us see how this works out. This idea we can adopt to understand this particular function or this kind of pronoun. How do they function? The dog hurt itself. Let us see. See, identify the subject. It's the dog. hurt itself. Hurt is the main verb. And whom did the dog hurt? The dog hurt itself. The verb, main verb, its action, the effect falls on the subject. So here pronouns referring to the subject of the sentence. See here, itself, myself, all these types. So when they function as a reflexive pronoun, they can refer to the subject of the sentence. Now, you please see the subject. The subject of the sentence, we already identified it. That's the dog. And whom did the dog hurt? Not a man, not a woman, not a child, but itself, referring to the subject. That is, in this sentence, this particular reflexive pronoun is referring to the subject of this sentence and are object of the verbs in these sentences. Object of a verb. Main verb. That is why identifying the main verb also is very important here. Object of the main verb. The hurt on what? Itself. But then again, in between, this main verbs function or stand as a mirror, and there is a reflection happening between the subject and the object. This is an object, but still, as because of its reference back to the or reflection back to the subject, it can be told that this is itself is a reflexive pronoun in this sentence. And next sentence also, you please note down, I can't forgive myself for what I did. The other part you may keep in reserve, but just identify the subject. I can't forgive. Take as the main verb, forgive. Myself. I can't forgive, not someone else, but myself. Again, the reflection between a main verb stands as a mirror and you have a reflection in between. So I and myself, these refer back. So myself refers to the reflexive pronoun in this sentence refers to the subject itself. Okay, and forgive or can't forgive, whatever it may be taken as the main verb, and how this myself becomes the object of that main verb. The main object, how the action, the effect of the action on what it falls. That's how we identify the object. So this is the way you can see. So reflection as a for the reflection you have a main verb in between. You can see the way it is marked down here. It's very important to note down because emphatic pronoun with the same kind of a form may confuse us, but if you study these together, we shall avoid the confusion. Okay, yes, and just in between, yeah, a reflexive pronoun cannot be used as a subject of a sentence. It's very important. Sometimes we come across people saying, myself will become a teacher. Never you can use that. I will become a teacher. That's the right way. So, correct way, it's I will become a teacher. So, another example also is that we consider ourselves a very good team. If you want, you can mark down the subject here. We consider as the main verb and ourselves as the reflexive pronoun. So, these two reflect back. In between, you have the main verb. Okay, yeah. Then the fourth type, it's emphatic pronoun. Let us keep this page intact and let us see. Emphatic pronoun. These pronouns are used to lay emphasis. We know the term emphasis is to give emphasis, more stress, more strength on what you say. So emphasis on the subject. They resemble reflexive pronouns in forms. See, myself, itself, yourself, whatever. That's why always we say, we can never say that. If you isolate a term in from the context of a sentence, you have to check out the dictionary to see whether it can be a verb or an adjective, adverb, noun, whatever. And even the categories, we know this how the same word can fall or come as the example of another different types, different categories of the same part of speech. See, itself is used as myself is used as the example in reflexive pronoun, but in emphatic pronoun also same thing comes. But we have to see with the sentences and the differences, very minute maybe, but we have to see that. If you have to be thorough with the categorization. Then emphatic pronoun. They resemble reflexive pronoun already told. That is to avoid confusion actually. And in this sentence, you please see, this is the example. I myself find my paintings dull. I myself find my paintings dull. Here, I as the subject, we can identify the subject. Myself find my paintings dull. And myself, obviously, as it is in circle, we can see this is the emphatic pronoun in this sentence. And what happens and how it is different from reflection, reflective sentence, reflexive pronoun, sorry, reflexive pronouns. I myself find my paintings dull. Just try to avoid or cut this part and utter the sentence, or try to read the sentence. I find my paintings dull. Okay, fine, enough. But there is something. That is, emphasis is missing. I myself, normally we do not use this, or sometimes it's not very common to see, but still, if you want to lay emphasis on the subject, I myself, no one else is finding my paintings dull. I myself find my paintings dull. That's why emphasis. And next sentence also, you see, please here, see, please see here, it's you yourself are responsible for your great success. When you say so, you yourself, no one else is, you yourself. Then you as the subject, and again the next one, the pronoun, the emphatic pronoun is laying emphasis. You are responsible for your great success. Enough, but emphasis is missing. If you want to emphasize, lay emphasis on the subject, you can use this. But how then? Let us go back to how it is very different from the usage, or how their functions are very different from this part to this, or this kind to this, from this. So here, I myself, in between there is no mirror or reflection part. Like I myself, in between we do not have a main verb. After that only main verb comes. So here, immediately after the subject, if this kind comes, if this type comes, you can see it is an emphatic pronoun, because immediately after the subject you are laying, and you are trying to put give an emphasis. You yourself are responsible. Okay, so this is the way you can differentiate between the two. The other one, it is subject, and these reflective pronoun, there is a definitely there should be a main verb, and that's how this question of object or not object, all those come. But here it is about I myself find. Immediately after the subject you lay emphasis. Then the fifth type, demonstrative pronoun. Always we say demonstration obviously involves a pointing out. So demonstration, we know how it happens. We always try to point out something by keeping it on our hand or somewhere else, but still there is a kind of pointing out. So pronouns such as this, these, that, and those demonstrate or point to a specific noun in a sentence, so that we can understand easily. When you see these terms, we can easily identify these to be, or these replacing a noun, or these referring to a particular noun. Let us see the example. This is the story my grandpa told me. So this one stands for grandpa's story, which is definitely a noun. Noun, story is a noun, we know. This, that is Venus. Very good example can be this second one. That is Venus. You're pointing out to that distant planet, and see, that is Venus. That is Venus. So we know that stands for that planet Venus. So there is no confusion at all. And we have to see, always we cannot take the example with a subject, verb, object pattern. Sometimes it changes according to the need. We have to take different examples. So that is Venus. That may be the better example in this case. And the sixth type, it is interrogative pronoun. We know with the term itself, we know this is mainly for the purpose of asking questions. Interrogation stands for question. Pronouns that are used to ask questions are called interrogative pronouns. Words such as who, what, which, whose, etc. are interrogative pronouns. We know these question words: what, who, which, whose, all these. Who is the president of India? Then Who definitely asks about a person, refers to a person. Definitely you will get a person's name there. Okay. Which of these fruits would you like? You may talk about orange, mango, papaya. So which of these fruits would you like? That which may give you the answer for some names of some fruits. Whose is the bag? That also can be an interrogative pronoun because you will give the name of a person as the example. Okay, so this is the way interrogative pronouns function are used to ask questions. Then seventh type, indefinite pronouns. Indefinite. The term we know, indefinite. See, try to uh, think about the numerals in mathematics. One, two, three. Where does it end? No, it can be it can be indefinite. It can go indefinitely. You can add one after another, and you can have numerous, and there is no end at all. But so that is the concept of indefiniteness. Definite means something very specific, very particular, which we can talk about the end point, we can talk about the particular duration or whatever specifically we can say. But indefinite as a concept is itself gives this. We can easily remember using the numerals arithmetics in mathematics. So here, indefinite pronouns, some pronouns do not refer to specific persons or things. Pronouns like someone, anything, somebody, they do not refer to specific persons or things. That's why in the beginning I told you, the first when you got the definition for specific persons or objects, then this definitely this question might arouse. It might come to your mind at least. That is, why then it's about replacing nouns. Then why can't it be specific? Then the mainly the answer comes here with the indefinite pronouns where you can refer to persons or things in this way as well. Let us go for the example first. Someone should be able to direct us to the school. If I say so, someone should be able to direct us to the school. Yeah. I stand in between, stand with a number of people. A lot of people are there in front of me, maybe with me. So I tell someone should be able to direct. I don't say Anjali should be able to direct us to the school. I don't say Anushri should be able to direct us to the school. So someone means any one of you, someone, at least one. So this is the way it becomes very indefinite. There is no specific person referred here. Otherwise, I should say Neha should be able to direct us to the school, or Anusri should be able to direct us to the school. But here it's someone. So that is indefinite. But still, it can, or definitely I mean a person. But there is no specific reference. And then, do you know anyone from this college? Just think about, I go to a campus or college where a number of students study, a number of faculties are there. And I just go and ask, do you know anyone from this college? If I ask, do you know Priya from this college? Definitely, it must be someone specific. But here it is just about the question goes like, do you know anyone from this college? No specific, no specific person, no specific person referred there. So the definitely it's indefinite. Yes. Then relative pronouns. Next, eighth type, relative pronouns. Yeah. The definition is, it goes like relative pronouns are used as subjects in relative clause. For the sake of a definition, we can read like that. They relate to the nouns which go before it. Let us see relating. The examples will help. The student who stood first in the examination is my sister. The student who stood first in the examination. See here, it's very dependent or relative clause that is. It's not a very simple sentence you see here. The student who stood first in the examination is my sister. You're talking about a student. That particular person is my sister. So that who as a term, just see here. It serves as relating between two, and it talks about a student or or the sister, whoever it may be, that is about a person. So pronouns that are used as the subject in relative clause. Here the student who stood first in the examination is my sister. You can definitely try to see how it can stand as a subject here in the relative clause. The book which I bought for you is torn. The book which I bought for you is torn. The book which again refers to the book. The student who refers to the student. So according to person or object we can choose between. But definitely a relating happens in between. They relate to the nouns which go before. This is the noun that goes in this sentence. This is the student is the noun that goes before. The student who stood first in the examination is my sister. Something which is told or see come after that, you have a you can get a relative sense by the use of this. Otherwise the student, see, some student stood first in the examination, but next time you have to make it in a very complicated manner, or you have to break the sentence for talking about that to be the sister of the speaker. A book which I bought for you is torn. You are relating, something is already there, and you are relating the event in between with the use of this relative pronoun. And then next type, it's distributive pronoun. Distributive pronoun. Distribution, we know the sense, how you distribute things. Yeah, the definition, let me read for the sake of, but again, in this case also, I'm sure example will help more clearly well. Yes, pronouns such as each, either, and neither are called distributive pronouns because they refer to persons or things one at a time as a single unit. Hence, they are singular and are followed by singular verbs. Let us see pronouns such as each, either, and neither. How these work out in a sentence. Distribution, that is the main concept, please keep in mind. Each of the participants will get a prize. Each of the participants. There is an event happening, and person A, person B, person C, person D, many persons participate. All those are participants. Each of the participants. In that case, you distribute whatever it may be, the event or the effect or some verb, the impact of that, all that is getting distributed. It's not, it doesn't say that see person number one or A, B get, but it's about each of the participants. That is about the distribution. With that itself you get the idea of the distribution. So in one sense it says all of them will get the prize, but here it's about distribution, so that uh, more than using, more than better to say this using this distributive pronouns as, itself. Because if you use all of you will, all the participants will get a prize, there is no distribution idea as such, because that each, that is the distribution, the sense that is made clear here. That's why this specifically these terms are referred there. Okay, and either of you could help me solve the problem. Just think about this. I have two of my friends in front of me, and I can say either of you could, so that friend number one, friend number two, both of them get the opportunity or helping the chance to help me to solve the problem. Either of you. So it's again distributed. Otherwise, I could say, yeah, you or the person's name specifically. I can talk about a person's name and say, yeah. So instead of that, I distribute the chance to help me, or the kind of request to help me in a distributed manner. Neither of these of the candidates has any working experience. That's the part it talks about, because they refer to persons or things one at a time as a single unit. That's why one at a time as a single unit. Neither of the candidates has any working experience. When you talk about neither of the candidates, we can assume two assembled there. So you have to you are distributing. That's why it talks about has, or you have has here. Otherwise, candidates after we expect have. Plural verbs, singular helping verbs are plural verbs, how important it is to use accordingly. But neither of the candidates, even then you talk about candidate number one, candidate number two in a distributed manner. The lack of working experience itself is getting distributed. So it's about has. That's how it comes. That is the idea given here with the, because they refer to persons or things one at a time as a single unit. Candidate number one as a single unit, candidate number two as a single unit. 100 participants are there, but each of them, one, two, three, four, five, all of them as single, so will. But when it comes with the will, when you have will there, you cannot understand how it is singular verb getting followed. Hence, they are singular and are followed by singular verbs. Will, commonly used for both singular and plural. Again, could help me. Then also you may not get, but here you have the best example here with has. Even after candidates, you have has as the main, as this verb for getting followed, or verbs following that, verb following that. Yes. Then the last one, reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal pronouns. Yes. Reciprocal as a concept. We just try to think about reciprocal. 5 by 2. If I write 5 by 2, what is the reciprocal of that? 2 by 5. You just turn it upside down, or place one on the top and the other on the top on the bottom and bottom on the top. This is the way you have a reciprocal relationship. That also is an idea in mathematics. And pronouns like each other and one another refer to a mutual relationship are called reciprocal pronouns. See, each other, one another. That's why these are very cut short, or this part. We can talk about reciprocal pronouns most often, more one or two. Mainly, they give you these as the terms or phrases to use here. Reciprocal. For the purpose of using reciprocal pronoun, we have most often these two. And see, each other and one another. My parents respect each other. You have father, mother. And you talk about parents, most often it is with the, you refer parents, then mother and father. With the concept, then you say each other. There it is a reciprocal. It's about giving and taking kind of. Same idea. There is no replacement but a giving and taking. So two dimensional, or two directional. That's it. And then talk about students must not talk to one another in the examination hall. Yeah, that is where you can refer. Each other can be used while referring to a relationship between two people, parents, father and mother. You mean the father and mother, then each other. What about more than two people? A relationship among many people is referred by using one another. That is it. Students must not talk to one another in the examination hall. Students. So you can expect more than two students. And they talk about this. The instruction talks like students must not talk to one another. Here, student number A, student number B, C, D, E. How many of them are there? As many of them are there. No one is not supposed to, must not talk to one another. A to C is not allowed, B to C is not allowed, C to A is not allowed. So this is again about a kind of reciprocal. So something is told there, you are instructed to do or not to do something, and there is a kind of mutual relationship. Whoever is meant, there is a mutual relationship, and that's why these are called reciprocal pronouns. So with the two people, definitely the provision is to use each other is the most preferred way. Each other you have to use, and with the more than two people, definitely one another is the most suitable reciprocal pronoun. With that, pronouns as the main categorization of pronoun also is over. So that's a Main part, it's about pronoun. Again, just to go back to that, pronoun is one of the parts of speech that come under that pronouns. They come under that comes under closed class category or structure words and under the umbrella topic parts of speech. Thank you so much for listening.